Hello fellow YouTubers and welcome to kind of an overview and my thoughts on Time Travelers for the PSVita. It also came out for the 3DS and the PSP a week after, and they were released, as you will see here, they were released for the 3DS and the Vita on July 12th, and then the PSP a week later on July 19th. And you're probably wondering, what is Time Travelers? Well, if you don't know, Time Travelers is a game that was made by Level 5. They also made Rogue Galaxy and Dragon Quest VIII on the PS2. And they also do the Inazuma 11 games as well as the Professor Layton games. And also, next year, early next year I think, don't quote me on that, but they teamed up with Studio Ghibli to make an RPG on the DS as well as the PS3. The PS3 version is getting a North American release, so, and that's called Ni no Kuni. So this is the newest entry in the realm of gaming, and I guess I should. I have pamphlets too, so kind of cool little pamphlets. I always like these pamphlets because they kind of, I don't know, I think they're pretty cool. And to kind of throw out, here's a little bit of I guess synopsis for the story. I don't want to delve too much in it because it's still pretty new, and who knows if it'll even get a release outside of Japan. But here it has terrorism times suspense times action times love romance times mystery times comedy equals Time Travelers. So all of that kind of meld into one for this game, and that's kind of what the story is. And you're probably wondering, what kind of game is it? Well, if you look here, see down here it says playing cinema, and you're probably going, what is playing cinema? Well, that's exactly how it sounds. If you don't know, there are these certain kinds of games called visual novels. And visual novels are usually, they have kind of static images they'll change in certain ways, like their facial expressions will change, or certain positions of the characters might change for whatever reason. But usually it's a lot of just static images. And I don't mind that, but a lot of times most of those kind of games are more oriented around, what would be the word I'd use? More kind of, not necessarily anything, well, I don't want to say important, but more kind of like sexual themes, it seems like a lot of the times. It's more kind of that kind of thing. A lot of the times it's like a dating simulator or something. And thankfully, this is not it. not so much. This is more of a movie or a TV show or kind of drama. And it covers, these are kind of the main characters here. It doesn't. And so you have Shindo Kyugo, and you have Fukase Yuri, Mikoto, and then Fushimi Hina, and then you have Kamiya Soma, and then you have Nusan Chiman. And it centers around these characters in the year 2031 on April 28th. And it goes through that day, and you have to decide on certain events and stuff. I'll get into the gameplay here in a little bit. Yeah. Well, I guess another kind of main character that should be popped up there is the mysterious leader of the terrorist group, Skeleton, and he's right there. Wow, thank you, Light. So, yeah, I guess that's a little kind of a bit to it. Why don't we just go right in? You can see in this image there's multiple timelines being shown for the heroes, and at certain points in time during the game you'll actually have to hop over to one of the other heroes to unblock something that happens that causes the hero in their timeline to trip up on something, and so you have to go to another one that might intercede with it, or somehow it affects it one way or another. So it's kind of like almost like a Radiant Historia in a sense, or kind of like a time traveling puzzle game. So not too difficult. Just it's yeah, it's just not too difficult, but it's still nice because it makes you think, okay, what do I gotta do? I gotta do this, this, and this, and this. And particularly near the end, it gets to a point where you have to do things in a very specific pattern, otherwise, you are SOL, to say the least. So, first off, I'd like to apologize for the glare of my camera. Not so good. Sorry about that. But what I wanted to say is what's great about Time Travelers is that when there's a discussion going on or when one of the characters is having an inner monologue, words will pop up in blue and you can tap on those words or hit the square button to find out what they mean. Also, after you beat the game, new words are highlighted in red when you play through it again, and these are kind of showing the thoughts and opinions that the people behind the game had about certain points in certain parts of the game. As you'll see coming up, there's a quick time event, and what they call these in the game are playing cinema events. And they're not really, they're quick time events, but they're not really about the speed, so you don't have to be too stressed about, oh my god, I have to press a certain button super quickly or anything like that. They give you ample time for the things usually. The focus isn't really about that. It's kind of there just to spruce it up, the story from time to time, to just get a little bit more interactive instead of just strictly decisions. However, as you'll see, as this comes to an end, because I did not do something properly, it actually stops the game, and time stops, and then you try and travel back, and that's kind of where it gets sort of that vibe of Radio Historia. So you don't really get game overs per se, you get stops and then rewinds. So. I also wanted to point out one thing is that when you're actually given the options to choose, there's times where it's timed and times where it's not. So here's an example of where you have a certain decision you have to make within 5 seconds. No biggie. And you can even let the clock run out, and it'll actually do its own sort of thing. Sometimes it'll be the same outcome as one of the others, and sometimes it might lead to its own thing. Now, after you beat the game, it opens up with a second, kind of like extra, and it's called the TT phone, and that's for it stands for Time Travelers phone. And basically, you're able to kind of do this goofy, kind of like I wouldn't say exactly like a date simulator thing, but Mikoto, one of the main chicks, it's talking to her. So you can have a telephone, you can skip time or wait. I don't know what that is quite yet. You can mail her, or she can mail you. You can customize your just options for this extra, as well as you can just put the thing together, search up keywords, as well as I don't know. So you can try calling her pretty much any time of the day, and it'll kind of give you like, hey, she's studying right now, so I'm trying to call her, like, hey, sup, yo, and I totally got turned down. So yeah, that's it. It's I know it's a little bit more of an overview of the game, but I want to make some points about it. The music composed by Sakamoto Hideki, he does a good job with it. It's not the most amazing soundtrack, but it definitely accents the characters very well, and it adds a nice little vibe to them, a nice little flair to them, so that you can be like, oh, you can kind of see into the personalities a little bit better, I guess. It's at least that's how it felt to me. So I think he did a really, really good job with that. The story, I really enjoyed the story. I'm a big sucker for time travel, and it's not overly convoluted, so it's good. And I like time travel to a certain degree. I don't like it when you can kind of, I would say, kind of throw things out every just, I don't know. There's certain points where you just, in certain time travel stories, where it seems like nothing really matters, and in a way, it's kind of how all time travel stories are, because it's time travel. But I know I thought it did a really, really good job, and I personally really enjoyed it. It definitely kept me intrigued, and I'm not a big visual novel kind of person. However, even though this is a playing cinema, or movie game, I guess, but I really was just wanted to play it all the time. I just, as I would get home from work or something, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta play it, and that's all I wanted to do. So I really enjoyed the story. The characters were really good. I liked the voice acting for the characters. They weren't over the top silly or anything like that. They actually fit, and they were pretty good for the most part. However, if you're wanting to kind of play, even though it's for the Vita, it also came out for the 3DS and PSP, and there's a reason why it could, because it's not the most graphically impressive game, and I don't think that really matters as much, especially for this genre of game, where in visual novels and that stuff, you can kind of, it's not the be all end all for it to be like super amazing graphics. At least in my opinion. Definitely more. I think it's more weighted towards story. So the graphics are okay. They're not amazing, and like sometimes, of course, the mouths are a little offset. But I don't know. Maybe they're kind of thinking of getting it out of Japan and releasing it elsewhere. Maybe. And that's the extras. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of thing for the extras, but I'll give it a little bit more time. I'm more inclined to collect all of the tips that you can get throughout the game, as well as the other time stops that I missed out on. So I'm more looking forward to that. So yeah, I highly suggest this game. I don't think the Japanese is too difficult to understand. There are times where it gets a little bit scientific, and you're just kind of like, if you're not into science or that sort of thing. And they kind of whip out some scientific terms and stuff. So if your scientific Japanese isn't up to par, it might be like, but they have furigana and stuff, so you can, if you need to look up something, you'd be like, oh, okay. If you want to wait for an English version of the game, yeah, try. I don't know. I kind of would hope this would get released in English so other people can try it that don't have the ability to understand it in Japanese to kind of give it a shot. So, yeah, that's really about it. I hope more people will buy this game, and I hope it gets a English release, or at least a release outside of Japan, so other people can enjoy this really awesome level 5 game. So thanks guys for watching, and have a good day.